Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for tuning in again. The other day I did a video talking about my 2024 predictions and how accurate I was. Well, today we're going to do the 2025 predictions, and I think some of these might surprise you. Some of these might not surprise you, but I want to share with you some of the things that I think are going to happen in this upcoming year that are basically based on my own personal experiences. I have no inside information on any of this. It's just kind of how I see the industry, the fishing industry progressing. And man, there's a lot of different ways we could take this. There's a lot of unknowns right now. So some of this is kind of based on some of the changes that we're seeing throughout the country at this point. So let's just jump right into it. The first trend that I see is a continuation of my 2024 pick of forward facing sonar baits are going to continue to dominate the 2025 market. I think we are going to continue to see a lot of new and innovative baits that are really geared at trying to fish for suspended fish and trying to show up better on forward facing sonar technology. This is definitely the hot part of the industry, and there's no real reason for that to slow down at this point. So I expect us to continue to see a lot of cool bait innovation that is geared at being used specifically around forward facing sonar. Now, having said that, if it's a good bait, it can catch them without forward facing sonar. That's really how I feel, but I think you're going to see a lot of marketing in which products are really geared to being used and paired up with forward facing sonar. So that's the first one. I don't think that's a crazy trend. I think that's just really a continuation of 2024. But I do think my second prediction is a little bit off guard. And I think that is going to be we are going to see a rise of crankbaits again. I really think we're going to start to see a lot of anglers fishing crankbaits successfully in top tour level competition. Crankbaits meaning, so your square bills, your deep divers, your lipless crankbaits. I think we're just going to see a lot of casting and winding, a lot more than we saw this year. Couple of reasons for that. One, some of the tournament organizations have moved away from forward facing sonar. So, organizations like the NPFL, no forward facing sonar allowed. I think you're going to see crankbaits be a big player there. Major League Fishing, you're only allowed to use forward facing sonar on certain days of competition. So I think you're going to see crankbaits be a bigger factor on those days where forward facing sonar is not allowed. So I fully expect there to be kind of an influx of crankbaits, not necessarily new baits, but really the fact that anglers are using them successfully at the tournament level, and therefore you start to see them kind of move some sales again. Crankbait sales have been miserable the last couple of years, but I feel like it's ready to go. There's a lot of anglers that haven't purchased many for the last couple of years. They're itching to buy new tackle, and I don't think it's going to take that much of a catalyst to get anglers to start buying crankbaits again. And they absolutely catch fish. They're one of the best fish catching tools out there, and they're really good at generating better than average quality size bites. So for me, I'm going out on a limb here. I feel like the crankbaits are going to be a big player, and honestly, I hope they are from the standpoint of there's a lot of crankbait companies out there that are hurting because they haven't sold many the last couple of years. But some of the changes that I think we're seeing at the professional tournament level could have an impact on that. So I expect there to be a lot more crankbait fish caught in 2025 than in the last several years, probably combined. So that's my second one. My third one is not one that you guys are probably going to want to hear. And that is that I think we're going to see a continued rise and increase in costs of fishing products, whether that's a pack of hooks, whether it's a crankbait, whether it's a boat, whether it's everything in between. I think we're going to see a rise. I'm not necessarily going to point this directly at the tariffs that everyone are talking about, but a lot of fishing products are made in China. And if there are tariffs put on places like China and other countries, that probably will be passed on to the users, which are unfortunately us. Now, the one thing I'll point with that is even if I've talked with a couple people in the industry regarding this. In the past, when we've seen something like this come, whether you have to raise prices to maintain margins because you're affected by the tariffs or you're a company that's not affected by them, you still have the ability to raise them to kind of stay equal to where your competition is. So, unfortunately, it's a good opportunity for companies to potentially raise rates as well. And having said that, again, being involved with core tackle, I have definitely seen an increase in prices over the last, ever since we started, which is only, a little over 2 years at this point. And I don't necessarily see that stopping. I think we've gone through such a major influx of inflation that that's still kind of leveling out, and I think we're going to see a noticeable price increase going through 2025, which is unfortunate, but I do think we're going to see that. The fourth prediction kind of goes with this. When there are increases in price and the cost of making goods, I think that tends to lead to the potential for consolidation. We've seen a lot of mergers amongst outdoor companies and tackle companies within the fishing industry, and I kind of fully expect that to continue in 2025. A big reason being that the bigger companies are able to take advantage of all levels of production. There's companies now that are going out buying the production facilities for, plastic pouring and lead pouring and all the various forms of making products, and then those companies also, not only can they produce it in-house, they can produce the bags and their packaging in-house. They can do everything from production all the way up to sales. And I think from that standpoint, the companies that are in that position, and generally you're talking the bigger private equity companies, that makes them more profitable when they can produce and sell and they can control the whole process. So I think you're going to continue to see that because these potential price increases are only going to make it harder on your smaller companies to continue to maintain the margins that they have, and that's the unfortunate part. But what that's going to lead to is probably some consolidation of companies, buyouts and mergers, and potentially even a few companies going under. But I don't expect that to, we've seen that kind of in 2024 and 2023. I expect that to continue in 2025. My fifth prediction, similar along those lines, and this one probably would be a surprise to a lot of you. I think we might see the merger between Major League Fishing and Bassmaster. I I don't expect anything to happen in the next handful of months. I would definitely not be surprised if we see something at the end of the tournament season next year. So the fall of 2025. And this is probably going more out on a limb, but this just has to do with some of the moves that we're seeing both organizations make that in my opinion are not needed, but they make more sense if there is maybe restructuring to merge in some form or fashion. And what I mean by that is you're seeing, Major League Fishing with the Bass Pro Tour just cut down their pro field will be down to 50 anglers at that point, which makes it much easier to merge with another organization. I've definitely heard rumors that the Bassmaster Elite Series wants to reduce their field pretty substantially as well. Well, if you have two field sizes that are reduced, you can get to 100 or 120 anglers pretty easy from that standpoint and run a professional level league with that. But we've also seen changes where, we know Major League Fishing, when they first came out with the Bass Pro Tour, had zero entry fees. So we know that's something they want. Me being part of the Bass Pro Tour last year, it's still something they talk about. Like that's where they want to get to. Well, the elites this year have gone to no entry fees. And, there's just these mergers. I hear rumors that organizations have had lots of talks for a while that both organizations want this. They just really need to figure out how to go about and do it. Whether that's true or not, that's all hearsay, but I hear it a lot from a lot of different places. So I don't think it would be crazy. In my opinion, we need the merger. I think professional tournament fishing is on a major downhill slide, and a big part of that is the fact that there's just too much of it out there. I think we need to really consolidate down into one league. I think the organizations are aware of that. I think the sponsors and all the companies that are involved would rather have that. So there's a lot of bonuses there. Whether they can get together and agree on something, that's a whole nother deal. But I see the potential in 2025 as being a very realistic thing that could happen, and in my opinion, needs to happen. So those are my predictions. I'll be really curious to see how they pan out. A lot to do between now and the end of 2025, where we can, work on what we're working on, try to grow ourselves, and just have good years. But let me know in the comment section. I would love to know what your predictions are for 2025. So put that in the comment section. This could go a lot of different ways. We could see a much different fishing scene by the end of 2025. So let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate all of the support out there, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.